Yeah. So jumping from one tournament to the next, coming back over here to America, the MLSisBack Tournament has kicked off and it's starting to heat up. So it's been full of wild twists to date. We had a 10-man DC United team come back from two down to finish with a draw. Last night we saw San Jose Earthquakes come back from 3-1 to beat Vancouver 4-3 in the last second thriller. And then we have arguably some of the better teams in the league, NYCFC, Inter Miami, and Atlanta sitting at the bottom of their groups. So they may not even make it out of the group stages. So what have been some of you guys' surprises, some of the surprise teams of the tournament, and what are you guys looking for in terms of favorites to win the tournament?
Yeah, so far, I'm not sure how much you could speak on it, Tristan, but I've been watching most of the games. I like the soccer after like a long break has been good. I was expecting it to be sort of like looking kind of like a preseason. When you go to preseason where the game's in Orlando or Phoenix and it's a little bit rusty. And obviously there's some teams that showed a little bit of rust, but for the most part, the level's pretty high. Columbus, definitely a team that stands out. Philadelphia, a team that stands out. Surprise team for me has been Orlando. But then again, for them to be in Orlando playing, I think that kind of has an X factor to it. Another team I really liked was Salt Lake. They're a well-balanced team, and they played well against Colorado. Definitely surprised about some of the bigger teams, Atlanta, NYCFC, Inter Miami, especially. We can't really say they're based on their players. Yeah, they're a big team, but they haven't proved anything. So I'm not really expecting much out of them. But Atlanta and NYCFC, teams that have been doing well over the course of the last couple of years, is really surprising to see. But then if you take into account, like, they're just not accustomed. They're used to, being spoiled with resources or, having that home field advantage. And you can see where this Orlando bubble kind of evens the playing field from that standpoint.
Yeah. So for me, I think I've watched maybe a half an hour of football of MLSisBack Tournament.
So
it's always been hard.
To sleep, huh?
Yeah, no, it's always been hard for me, to be honest with you. But I kind of, when I was watching it, I think it was one of the first games. I don't remember who it is, and even if I did know who it is, I wouldn't say. But no, I always thought it was going to have a preseason feel to it. You guys, you have guys, on this break, not knowing when things are going to kick off again. You're bringing them to a central environment, and you're away from the comforts of your home. It feels a lot like preseason. So I'm not sure. So I'm not shocked by any of the results. Actually, it kind of makes sense, right? When you look at the bigger teams, usually in preseason, they kind of coast their way through, and then they start peaking. Once the season starts, midseason, being ready for the finals. So, I think one of the things to really consider is that how many of the guys are actually, you know, you know, really, really taking this as seriously as a normal MLS season, right? It's kind of a condensed, version of it, and I'm not questioning anyone's professionalism, but you do understand as a player that there's Carlos Vela is back in LA with his wife, for understandable reasons, but is it how valid is a championship won under these circumstances, right? And same thing could be said in the NBA season, so I'm not shocked. I think guys are tired, in the games that I watched, and it's gonna be challenging. I think anybody can win it at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if Orlando wins it. Being at home. But I think it's a toss up, to be honest with you. To me, I see it as any sort of preseason tournament. You know, we'll see how that translates into the following season and see if there's some momentum. But I'm not shocked, and I think that the next season, when things kick back up again, if they kick back up again, you'll see the some sense of normalcy to everything again, with as the big teams being back at the number one spots.
Yeah. Yeah, you're being nice though. I know you're not going to call anybody out, but I feel like definitely there's a few players that are just crossing down the days. Like, okay, how long are we going to be here? I can get back home. Hopefully, we don't have a season, and then I can like chill. I feel like that's definitely prevalent. And there's some teams that have a good camaraderie. You could just tell by their celebrations. You could tell like their actions on the field that like, no, we're here to win. I don't care if it's a preseason game. I don't care if it's a scrimmage. I don't care if we don't get paid. So there's a difference there. But like you said, it's all going to get better once hopefully things
Yeah,
have some clarity.
exactly, exactly. So we'll see what happens, But I could even give you a prediction of who's going to win. To be honest
Nah,
with you,
so I'll
I
take
mean,
it.
but the MLS is like that, though.
Yeah,
Any team, and Moby, any team can go out and beat any team if they don't bring it.
that's true.
I think there's a couple key players that make a difference, and then you have a couple key teams or a couple teams who have continuity within their team, so they understand how to play together. During my time, that was like a Real Salt Lake. Their team stayed the same for such a long time. So even if they didn't have, quote unquote, great players individually, they knew how to play as a team, so they can
Uh,
beat you on any day. But like I said, I think it's just a toss up at this point. I
so
probably should start watching a few more games.
uh, win or lose, you're not going to lose anything. I would say, do you think a coach could get fired based on the performance of the
No,
MLS's back tournament?
no, no, no. I think there's so much out of their control. You can't listen. We don't know what the bubble's like down there, right?
Hmm.
It would be different if we were there and we can speak on it, intelligently. But there's a lot of things, and I think I read something that said Portland was doing a great job of supporting their players' families, and sending meals and stuff like that. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's so much going on in the outside world. Not only this pandemic, but the racial injustice, all that stuff. It's heavy, and it's taking a toll on people, whether you think you're directly affected or you might be indirectly affected. So, if I'm a GM, or somebody that's making decisions, I certainly would not fire a coach under, based on the performances, unless I really want him out and this is just a great excuse. But I personally wouldn't fire anyone based on what's going to happen with this tournament.
Okay, that's a good shout. I
Yeah,
think. I think.
2020 is a wash, man.
Yeah.
It's a wash.
It's a reset. It's a
Yeah.
reset. It's definitely a reset. Just kind of see where everything is at and see where we're going as just like human beings in general, and then collectively, and just like 2021 is that bounce back.